All right, fam, if you are a professional organizer that feels like you're working really hard, but your income isn't exactly matching that workflow, then this episode is for you. I know that most of you work incredibly hard and care very deeply about your clients. So we're going to talk through the 3 biggest mistakes that keep pro organizers from making more money. And if you don't correct these things, they can go on for years, even while you're working nonstop. And I want to help you fix that. So we're going to dive right into it because ultimately more money equals more freedom. And it doesn't come from working more hours. It comes from better systems. Rest when you need, help more people sustainably, have more flexibility in your schedule, all the good things, the reasons why you started the business in the first place. So stick around. Let's get into it. Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Speak Organized podcast. My name is Melanie and I am your go-to gal for all things pro organizing business. I like to speak organized to give you the tools to conquer your clutter, live life with more purpose, and learn all about the business of tidying. Do me a favor if you haven't already, take out your snazzy device and tap that subscribe button so that you become a member of the Speaker fam. And if you get value out of today's episode, go ahead and hit that like button, tap that notification bell so you're notified whenever we post new content every single week. And if you're an Apple Podcast user, you can go ahead and leave us that amazing rave 5-star review so that we can, again, reach more amazing folks just like you who are interested in becoming their best selves through the art of professional organizing. If you're brand new here and you haven't joined my free Facebook group, I don't know what you're doing. You need to get yourself in that group. It's full of thousands of members that are happy to help answer questions, give advice, build that community so that you have people to talk to about all the bins and the baskets and the organizing things that your husband and your cat just quite frankly could care less about. Come join us. The link in there is going to be down in the description of the video and the podcast show notes. Can't wait to see you there. Now, fam, as we get ready to dive into this, I just want to make sure for those of you who are kind of sitting on the fence, you're feeling that sense of imposter syndrome, just know that you have come to the right place. I really aim to be your go-to gal for all things pro organizing business. That's why I have the podcast and my YouTube channel, as well as various other resources to help you be successful, because I firmly believe that when you have the right tools and training, you can be exceptional. That is lacking at least in terms of accessible and affordable education for budding business owners. So that's what I Speak Organized is for. And so in just a few minutes, I'm going to share with you just a few ways that I can help you grow that sustainable 6- or 7-figure business that's going to give you that ultimate freedom. But let's dive in to our very first mistake, because these are not surface level things like you need to post more on Instagram, girl. Like, that's not what we're talking about here. This is a deeper, more mindset shift, as well as some logistical things. And I sit with coaching clients every single year, hundreds of coaching clients every year. And many, many folks, just about all of them, don't go through this financial forecasting. So we're going to talk about this very first mistake, because this is going to determine whether you build a job or you build a business. Okay, we're not labor for hire here. We are business owners. So let's start with the biggest one. The biggest mistake that I see keeping professional organizers stuck is thinking like labor for hire instead of thinking like a business owner. So most organizers are going to set their hourly rates based on what other people charge. Big mistake number one. They're also going to charge on what feels reasonable and what feels safe. And being an entrepreneur, you're going to have to get over the safety thing. There is a lot of kind of risk that comes with that. And we can start small. We can make our risk tolerance very small to start. But we need to get beyond our comfort zone and push past what we think is safe, because that's not really going to allow us to grow. And here are some of the things that just about nobody else talks about. These are things that I make sure all of the people in my membership program are very well versed in, and anybody who crosses my path in coaching. So we go through what is called financial forecasting. So some of you may be brand new to the industry. You may be brand new to entrepreneurship in general, small business ownership. And you might think, oh, I'm just kind of testing the waters and, I don't really need to think about all that stuff. It just seems too overwhelming. But listen, if you just spend that little bit of extra time going through this process and getting really clear with your numbers, it kind of has this beautiful snowball effect. And it's really important important to think like a business owner rather than labor for hire, because the folks that think for like labor for hire, 99% of the time, I see them burn out real quick and their business doesn't go anywhere. And then they've just wasted like 6 months of their time because they didn't set the foundational pieces in place first. So we want to be asking ourselves questions like, how much does my business actually need to make? And this is going to be purely based on what your financial goals are. And so it's going to be different from Susie Organizer 10 miles away from you. Okay. So we need to get realistic about how much my business needs to make. How much, what are my real expenses? So you might not know what your expenses are, but it's a good idea to maybe talk to a coach and figure out, what those expenses would be. Ask people in the Facebook groups. There's all kinds of different resources to figure those things out. How many hours can you realistically work? You may even want to go as far as asking yourself how many hours you realistically want to work. There's going to be constraints maybe around your kid's schedule, your partner's schedule. You may have all kinds of different things. Everybody's situation is unique. So we have to figure that stuff out ahead of time. They're not super difficult questions to answer, but they're really important questions to get right at the beginning of the process so that you know where to go. You'll know what your hourly rate needs to be in order to run a business. And so what I see happening is without that clarity, the pricing just becomes guesswork, and the guesswork almost always leads to underpricing. I would say just about every time. Charging professionally is not about confidence. It's not even really about experience. It is to a degree. There's definitely a starting point where we can work our way into something that's a little bit more high end or more niche, if you will, however you want to kind of talk about that. But I feel like imposter syndrome plays a huge role in this, and people think that they don't have the goods to charge what other people charge. And that means that you are basing the financial decisions of your business on emotion. And as a business owner, we don't want to do that. It has to be through forecasting, and it has to be through practical, logistical, laid out plans. And so if that's something that you struggle with, if you know you struggle with that imposter syndrome, come talk to me about it. I'm happy to help you through that process and give you the building blocks that you need in a very short period of time to do this the right way. Now, here's something that might shock you. Maybe not. I think sometimes we just hear people say things and it all of a sudden just clicks and makes sense. Most organizers don't need more clients. They need better systems. I think sometimes when folks are brand new, they think they need all these clients to feel quote unquote successful. But that's just a recipe for burning yourself like a marshmallow, like not even burning the candle at both ends, but roasting yourself like an absolute, like little tiny brown, black marshmallow. So we want to avoid that. Now we know some people are going to get to the point where they know they're underpricing. And in order to fix that underpricing, they're trying to work harder. They're trying to bring in more clients, but we know that working that way just leads to more chaos, and chaos is going to kill profit. This is where I want to share something really important with you that I have discovered, and I'm not a gatekeeper, and I want to help you out. Maybe you've got your pricing structure down, it feels good, but your systems are in the trash. Maybe you don't have any systems at all. Things feel messy. You've got money leaking out of your business without even realizing it. Things like you're missing invoices, or you're having a hard time getting people to comply with those procedures. Maybe you are slow to follow up with past clients, or just slow follow up in general with leads. That's a really common one that happens when we get so inundated with client work, as we kind of miss those opportunities for new clients and bigger growth. There's also disorganized scheduling. That's a huge one. If you're not using a scheduling software, you're having to keep all of that in your brain, or you're writing it down on a piece of paper or something crazy like that. Maybe we're forgetting payments. I mean, I've heard all kinds of stories from folks who are not hopping on the train and need to start building those systems and implementing a CRM. All of this is really important to get dialed in. If you are allowing those things to slip through the cracks, it's going to drain your income and thus your energy. That is exactly why I have partnered with Jobber. They are an amazing piece of software that you can use to run the back end of your business really seamlessly and affordably properly without a huge tech learning curve. And that's a big deal for me. Any company that I ever work with, I vet heavily because I take my responsibility as a coach and somebody who recommends things to the people that trust me very, very seriously. So Jobber is going to allow you to get paid faster, stay organized on the back end, which as professional organizers is probably pretty important that we stay organized. And it's also going to help you look really professional and run your business like an actual business, all right? Everything from lead capture to communication to scheduling, invoices, payment, offboarding, follow-up, all the things, even integrating the ability to work with your team if you're building a team. No miscommunication that's going to happen there because it all happens within the portal. So we know that when the back end is clean, you are going to capture that revenue. You're going to have more freedom. You're going to reduce your stress, save your time. And these are all the things that I so desperately want for you. So as somebody who is not a gatekeeper and keeps my responsibility very, very seriously with all of this, I've got a discount for you. If you want to check it out, it's a 14-day free trial. The link to that is going to be down in the description of the video and the podcast show notes. You have absolutely nothing to lose if you're finally ready to build a system that is both affordable and super easy to use. Jobber is it, I'm telling you. So make sure that you go and check that out if that ticks the box for you. Now let's move on to our next mistake. The second biggest mistake is trying to do everything on your own. And I have talked about this in other podcast episodes before. It's such an important point, and I talk about it so much because I was that person. I was you. I was Googling everything, asking random Facebook groups questions, piecing together conflicting advice, because I'm going to be honest with you, some of those Facebook groups, you're not going to get very good business advice in there, okay? It's a great avenue for community building, and you're going to get some good advice, but take it with a grain of salt, and a lot of it is going to be conflicting, which is going to just spiral even further into the confusion. And then avoiding education is another thing that I see people do because you want to save money. Now, here's my 2 cents on that. If you don't see fit to invest in yourself and your business and its growth, then why would you expect your clients to do the same? That really is the shortcut to getting where you need to go, is investing in good training and coaching. Bottom line is confusion is expensive, and we want to start thinking about our time as being more valuable than money, because the reality is you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. And if you're spending all of this time spinning your wheels and doing all this deep dive research into these random places and asking for free advice, that's the quality of the business that you're going to build. And we don't want to do that. So sometimes it's the best idea to either find somebody to take on some projects for you, whether it's going to be hiring a web designer so that you don't build some weird janky website that's outside of your scope. If that's not in your wheelhouse, maybe it's hiring somebody to help you with social media. Maybe you're not really business savvy and you just need to learn the ropes and you need to hire a coach that's going to help you go through that. Whatever it happens to be, look at investing in tools and training that are going to help you through this process. You want to think of yourself like a professional in any other industry, that you don't need a college degree or even a certification to become a professional organizer. Some people tend to take the easy way when it comes to that because you don't have to do it. But in any other profession, you got to go to school for it. If you're going to be a plumber, you're going to be an electrician, you're going to be any of these things, you need training for that, and you're going to invest in that. And we are no different. And so we need to take ourselves seriously because this is a professional industry and we're going to go into it with a professional mindset, expecting that we're going to need some training in order to be able to do it well. And at the end of the day, you are not paying for information. You're paying for speed, clarity, direction, and that time savings is everything when it comes to building your business, because being an entrepreneur is hard work. You're already going to be your own social media manager. You might be your own bookkeeper. You're going to be your own video editor if you're going to be doing that type of stuff. You're going to be the organizer. You're going to be the admin. You're going to be the sales department all in one in that first year. And it is really freaking hard. So if you're able to cut through the noise and all the conflicting advice and just find your person and go through that process quickly, that's going to help prevent burnout, because you can avoid all of the pitfalls and mistakes that others have made, and you'll be able to build more sustainably, and you're going to just overall be happier with the process and more successful. You're going to be more likely to succeed long term and turn that into a 6 or 7 figure business. That is my goal. That's what I do for all my clients who are able to stick with it. But if you try to do what I did for so many years and spin your wheels and do all the things, it is so damaging to your mental health. It is important to have somebody in your corner so that when something happens and you're like, is this normal? Like, did this happen to you? I can be like, girl, let me tell you 6 or 7 different stories about when this, blah, blah, blah happened to me. So you have that relatability factor. Again, your husband and your dog are not really going to care very much about some of these things that you're talking about, and they're not going to understand it. And so having the community, having the tools and training can be really important. So find your person, whatever it is, to help get you over that hump and push past those roadblocks, because you need to stop doing everything yourself. All right, now let's talk about the third mistake. And this one is the most emotional. I feel like they're all kind of emotional. And so there's a little bit of a theme going on here. If we're making decisions emotionally throughout our business, that's what's going to keep us stuck. So we need to get out of the emotional space in our brain and into the more logical decision-making part of our brain to become the business owner, CEO, badass bee that we want to be, all right? So emotional pricing and reactionary discounting is our third biggest mistake, because listen, we are helpers, we care deeply, and sometimes you meet somebody who truly needs your help but can't afford your services. And I know that sounds awful, but if you're doing that for everybody, because a lot of organizers right now are discounting heavily. I see this all the time. They're working for free. If you go to any Facebook group and you see somebody say, hey, I need help with this and that, you're going to get all these people crawling out of the woodwork being like, girl, I can do it for you and I can do it for free and all of these things, but that's not who we want to be. You're bending your boundaries. You're not running a business at that point. You're just coming in as a helper, which has its place. But if you're here watching this video and you've gotten this far, and maybe you've watched 6 or 7 or 10 of my other videos or listened to the podcast, then you're probably not the person that's trying to be that. You're probably thinking about this as a serious career. And if you are doing emotional pricing and reactionary discounting, you're not going to get there. And listen, giving back is beautiful, but it needs to be planned into your business plan. There needs to be a set amount of pro bono work that you're going to do during the year. And there needs to be a firm boundary in place. Maybe you have a scholarship fund that other clients can help fund for people that can't afford your services. There's all kinds of different ways to go about it from a professional business or a foundation standpoint, but doing it reactionarily in the moment for anybody that tells you that they can't afford your services, but they really need help. Some people might not like what I'm going to say, but I think about this all the time. Everybody that comes to me needs my help. I need help. We all need help. But we are trying to run a business here, and you need to close the loop of giving. If you're just giving, and there's no loop of reception there, and that goes both ways, there are people out there that are going to want to pay you for your services, and you need to be okay with accepting that and closing that loop. Read the book, The Go-Giver, if you have not read it yet, by Bob Burg and David Mann, I think are the co-authors of that book. Puts a lot of things into perspective as a business owner and will make you feel better about receiving compensation for your hard-earned work. Because reactionary discounting, quite frankly, is dangerous. It's going to damage your business. It's going to erode all of the work that you have done to build this business. It damages self-trust. It teaches clients that your pricing is flexible, which doesn't feel good if you're having to wake up every single day and dread dealing with things like that. It's going to lead to burnout. I see it every single day. People are not able to get their business off the ground because they're cutting corners and they're doing things from that emotional reactionary standpoint. We don't want to do that. It's going to create resentment. You don't think it's going to happen now, but trust me, it does. It happens if people are doing that over and over and over again and not really seeing the value in what you're providing. That's not going to be a good, sustainable situation that you're going to want to be in for a long period of time. And it's going to attract misaligned clients. So over time, organizers are going to notice a pattern. Clients who push boundaries often become the most demanding, and it is going to drain your energy. And then you're going to think that all clients are like that because you continue to put yourself in that position, and then you're going to quit and try and do something else. And that is, again, not what I want for you. This simply is just an exercise in being okay with setting boundaries, which if you're a people pleaser is a really hard thing to be able to do. But as a business owner who is trying to run a profitable, sustainable business, you have to be okay with setting boundaries. It is essential. I don't want you to get stuck in the mindset of this feeling like you're being less compassionate. You're also being compassionate to yourself. I think of it from the perspective of my team, right? So my business was just myself for a long time, and then I started having team members. If I didn't set boundaries in place around pricing, and I didn't set boundaries in place around projects and scope and all these different things, I wouldn't be compassionate towards my team. I have to be able to compensate them for their time. Sometimes there's mileage involved, and there's driving, and there's product research, and all these things that go into it on the back end, admin time, all these things. I need to be mindful of that. You can think about it from that perspective. If you're the one who's doing all of that, it's easier to think more about the client than it is about the work that you're doing on the back end in that non-billable environment. But you need to consider it and consider the fact that you may have a team at some point that you're going to need to compensate. And if you don't have these systems in place and you don't have those boundaries set up to attract the right clients who see your worth and your value in what you do, then you're going to have a problem. So try to think about yourself as if it were another person. The bottom line is, you didn't start your business to become exhausted and underpaid, right? You started your business to create freedom. So you got to keep looping back to that as you start to second guess yourself, okay? So that's kind of where we're going to stop it for today. I think that that's some good food for thought to chew on. Now, again, if this sounds good and you know that you struggle with some of this stuff, I want to encourage you to join my membership program, or at least just check it out, because I have so many different lessons in there that are going to just get you through all of this. And you get instant access to it with your month-to-month membership when you join. There's 33 core curriculum lessons ready to rock on everything from building your signature organizing process to branding, logo design, pricing, projects, how to do certain things on the job, and products, like all of the different things, marketing, SEO, website, it is all in there. And it's extremely affordable. It's month to month. It's basically like the Netflix on-demand content of everything you need. Not only that, but there are 2 monthly coaching calls where you get to do essentially like a one-on-one with me. You can ask me any questions that you want, and I will answer them live during our private live stream twice a month. So it's kind of a no-brainer. It's a really great opportunity to get what you need in an affordable and sort of low-stress setting. So I encourage you to check that out and come join us. We have a really great time in there. The link to that is going to be down in the description of the podcast and the show notes, so be sure to check it all out. I just want to close with one reflecting question. So which of these mistakes are you currently making? How do you see yourself being able to fix it? And I guarantee you the answer is right under your nose if you're just willing to sit back and do a little bit of reflection. I am here for you. Our community is here for you. And we are just ready and waiting to help you, chomping at the bit. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to go down to the description to check out all the goodies. There's that 14-day free trial for Jobber. There is the link to join my membership program. There's links to one-on-one coaching calls. all kinds of different stuff that we have for you at I Speak Organized. Again, I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.